हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम श्रीनिवास प्रभु। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
राधा भावनी देवी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
नंदनेश्वरी माता की दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम जी।
सीता माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
यतिन प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा। We can begin now. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaudangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam parmam rangayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So we will be starting a new chapter today, chapter 9, further considerations of devotional service, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Nectar of Devotion. So we are discussing the 64 items of devotional service. Total number of chapters we cover is 20 chapters. although there are more than 50 chapters in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, only 20 chapters are required for Bhakti Shastra. And after chapter 20, they go more deeper. So it is usually recommended to read once we attain certain amount of progress in our Krishna consciousness, then we read those chapters. So now we are at Vidi Sadhana Bhakti, blasphemy. My dear king, if a person after hearing blasphemous propaganda against the Lord and his devotees does not go away from that place, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities. So once again, my dear king, this is Sukadev Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. If a person after hearing blasphemous propaganda against the Lord and his devotees does not go away from that place, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities. So it is recommended we should not hear blasphemy of any Vaishnavas. And if somebody criticizes a Vaishnava, then we have two options. Either we should leave the place, or we should rectify the other person's understanding. Third option is very difficult. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, if we cannot do other two, then one should commit suicide. That much severe is the offense of hearing the blasphemy of a devotee. Just by hearing, one becomes contaminated. By speaking, one is severely incriminated. That's why it becomes very difficult to control our sense of speech, because if that is not controlled, it's very easy to lose our devotional practice or lose the piety of our devotional practice. This is something we all have experienced in our own life also. Here it says, after hearing, if a person does not go away, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities. So we chant, we read, we hear, we render devotional service. This pious activity refers to our devotional practices, and we gain spiritual strength. But then when we blaspheme, or when we hear the blasphemy, we lose them. There is one nice example in Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Those who don't know Sri Chaitanya something, because God Purnima is also coming, just a quick understanding of that, of how Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, he reacted to the blasphemy that he heard and that he noticed, how he reacted to that. One example, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami was from Bengal, and he held a 24-hour kirtan in his home. So he invited many devotees came. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Not much is known about him, but this is what he himself mentions in his book. So one of the personality who came to attend that Sankirtan was an associate of Nityananda Prabhu. His name was Maniketan Ramdas. He was very exalted devotee, eternal associate of Lord Nitai. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami had a brother. He was worshipping the deities. They have Radha Krishna deities in his home. He had full faith in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he did not have faith in Lord Nityananda. So his brother, after worshipping the deity, when Nitai's associate came, he did not offer obeisances, and he was looking at him in a derogatory way. So that was actually a blasphemy to Nityananda Prabhu. So Maniketan Ramdas, being fully dedicated to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, when he saw that Nityananda Prabhu was disrespected and this person does not have faith in Nitai, he became angry. There was some argument, and this person even verbally became more offensive. Then Maniketan Ramdas, out of his anger, he blew the flute he would carry a flute. He broke the flute, and in his anger, he left the association. Seeing this, this whole incident, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami became very angry, and he chastised his brother. He gave more importance to respecting Nityananda Prabhu than he is my brother. So he chastised his brother, you should not have done like that. And I'm severely upset with you, he told his younger brother. It is said as the effect of that blasphemy, his younger brother, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami's brother, he lost faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also because he offended Nityananda Prabhu. Then next day morning, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami was crying because he was lamenting that he heard that a great Vaishnava came to his home and he broke his flute and he left, and he was angry. So his heart was very sad. Whole night he lamented and he was chanting, begging for forgiveness. Then early morning he kind of fell asleep, and in his vision Nityananda Prabhu came in his dream, and Nityananda Prabhu said, I am very pleased with you. And the reason he was very pleased with Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami because Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami had full faith in the mercy of Lord Nityananda, and he was lamenting because he disrespected, or in other words, he has full respect for the devotee of Lord Nityananda or for anybody connected to Lord Nityananda. So Nityananda Prabhu said, do not lament anymore. Your good fortune has now opened since I have appeared to you. As soon as you get up, go towards the east to Vrindavan, and all your desires will be fulfilled. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami got up, overwhelmed with the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he immediately came out of the home and left the home, never to return back. He went to Vrindavan, and there he received the shelter of the Goswamis. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they all gave shelter. Then he took association of the Goswamis. He read the books written by them. He understood the nature of Vrindavan. He would hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Raghunath Das Goswami. He attained perfection by taking the shelter of the Goswamis. And then he also wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita based on what he heard from Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was the associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he stayed with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for around 16 years. So he personally witnessed all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And since Raghunath Das Goswami was he also had access to the notes written by Murari Gupta and Swarup Damodar Goswami, who were another two associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So based on what he personally witnessed and the diaries of those who were with Lord Chaitanya, Raghunath Das Goswami handed over all those subject matter to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and based on that, he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. So lot of mercy he received because he did not tolerate the blasphemy of one of the associate of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So one should defend. If one should never support somebody's blasphemy. Some devotee comes and they say, this devotee is like this. One should defend in whichever way possible. Okay. Then another thing that is spoken in this regard is, if somebody criticizes us, we should practice Trinadapi Sunichena and take a humble position. Somebody comes and says, Prabhu, you are not at all humble, you are very proud, you are, you should not have done like that. We should not take it on our egos and take a humble position and accept. But when somebody else is criticized, then we should take action. And this picture shows a particular example of Jagai and Madhai, who were unrighteous people. They were drunkards and they had all kinds of sinful bad habits. When Nitai requested them to chant the holy name of Krishna, they retaliated, they hurted Nitai. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate that. So he came and he called out for his chakra to kill Jagai and Madhai, but by the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, they both were delivered. But at the same time, on another instances, Ramchandra Puri, Amoga, there are various instances in Chaitanya Charitamrita where some other people, they criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly. Like, you are a hypocrite, you are not fit to be a sannyasi, you are a gluttonous person, you eat a lot. So in that way, many people criticize Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not retaliate that. And when somebody would become angry, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, no, they are right. So any blasphemy come to us, we should take a humble mood and think like, yeah, that is true. Another thing that my spiritual master says, if somebody criticizes us, then we can see if there is some truth in it. If there is some truth in it, rectify it. If there is no truth in it, and somebody is criticizing us without a reason, then take it as part of our purification. Krishna arranged as for my purification, if there is no truth in it. But no license is given to hear the blasphemy of somebody or to speak blasphemy of somebody. If one does that, one loses all of one's piety. Okay. Any discussion, any question on this so far?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. May I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, regarding this point that we are supposed to defend the Vaishnava who is being blasphemed, by chance, if we are in a situation where our intervention is going to make the situation worse, knowing the fact that the other person is not going to be able to, is not even ready to listen, as a matter of fact, he will do more blasphemy, he or she, and we are in a position which is a lower position. For example, if it is our parent or a significant other, like a husband or somebody who we don't, we cannot like overpower in the sense, cannot be too affirmative with them either. Is it okay to stay shut up and in the hearts of the hearts just keep praying for the situation to get better by Krishna's mercy, or should we still intervene, given the fact that it can become worse?
Thank you. We should pray internally. That's what I also personally do in many of such instances. For example, if there is a management meeting, somebody says something, then I try to keep quiet because it's inappropriate to leave. And then if somebody asks my opinion, then I try to see some goodness in that and say, well, this person has this great quality. So in some way, not be a part of the problem. And then if we have influence, we should try to help change their mindset. If you can change their mindset, that will be a great service. And that's an act of compassion, an act of love and care for them, because if they are relieved of that poison that is within them for some Vaishnava, they can make progress in their devotional life. So it will be a great act of love and compassion. In case where somebody is superior, just praying internally will help.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That helps. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we all will have our own personal experiences where if we participate, if we now, one thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, sometimes it may happen that we may blaspheme devotee because we are hurt. And now we are not perfect people also. So we may misunderstand the situation, misjudge a person. And this mind anyways is not very favorable for most part. So mind will present us many thoughts also. And one thing that happens is when we find fault in somebody or when we internally become angry at somebody, we actually affect their Krishna consciousness. We cause them a lot of pain in their spiritual practices. And to the extent we are progressing in our Krishna consciousness, that much greater responsibility we have not to mentally be disturbed at someone. We have greater responsibility because we are going to affect their Krishna consciousness, and how the reaction comes back is it will come back through some other source, and we will impact our Krishna consciousness. There is no one way. We cannot disturb anyone and be safe in our Krishna consciousness. The law of karma will act. If we are disturbing anyone, if we in any form or way become a cause of somebody else's difficulty in spiritual life, it's only a recipe for our own difficulties. And I always say this, somehow I love this statement. One devotee asked my spiritual master, Maharaj, his name is Raghunath Swami Maharaj, how is it everybody loves you? And Maharaj said, because I don't find fault in anyone. So that's how the laws of nature work. If we don't find fault in anyone mentally, then nobody will find fault in us. So everybody will love us. But when we find fault in others, somebody will find fault in us, and it will give us a lot of difficulty. So how to make our Krishna consciousness stable? Usually it is seen it's going okay, and then suddenly we don't know what happens, something goes wrong. And it's going okay and something goes wrong. So like there is something called charity begins at home. I don't know how to relate to this, but we try to become free from this tendency of fault finding nature. And one way we can do that is being cautious, being conscious of our thoughts. Something I regularly say is becoming Krishna conscious means becoming conscious of our consciousness. Means we should be conscious, we should be aware of our consciousness. What am I thinking? Or we should observe ourselves. Oh, my mind is finding fault in this devotee. My mind is disturbed in this action. And then rectify our consciousness as soon as possible. Krishna says the quality of, we were discussing in our Bhakti Shastri, the quality of Asthita Pragya, or a self-realized soul, is that he is Sthita Dhir Munir Uchyate. He is steady mind. Steady mind won't get disturbed. Unsteady mind, slight provocation will become disturbed. Another thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if by any chance we do blaspheme a devotee, which is because of our uncontrolled mind and our judging mentality, if we do find fault in someone, Mahaprabhu says, with the same mouth we have drunk the poison of blasphemy, with the same mouth we should glorify him. If you find that, oh, I found fault in this devotee, when you see that devotee, or when you are in front of others, you glorify that devotee. That's how we drink the nectar that counteracts the poison. Okay, I hope that was helpful a little bit. So now moving to any other question?
Only one question regarding the not seeing faults in others. For example, like recently there was some discrepancy between the devotees, and those devotees went along with the person who has the problem with to temple president. Now temple president agrees with the other devotees, not with this devotee, but this particular devotee wants to do the way he wants to do only, too stubborn. Now I'm trying to understand the principle which temple president is trying to follow. Like, is it like, see, basically one aspect of seeing it is we're simply letting the other person to boost his false ego. One way of not seeing fault in others means there is something going wrong and nobody really corrects that person. Everyone else is being impacted by. And surprised that even temple president doesn't take any call. Like, what kind of principle is being applied in this situation? Like, what's the point of being authority then?
Rohit, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does it require our intervention? Does that require our intervention?
If we are part of that service, we are
Hmm.
being served with that. Yeah, we are not. I can say I'm not in a position to correct that person, but definitely something is wrong there. And in spite of his authorities, intervention doesn't change. So how does really work?
Well, how the perspective I am taking on this Prabhuji is it's difficult to see other standpoint because whether those senior devotees, authorities, they will have certain kind of, they have dealt with all different kinds of devotees, and they have a lot of experience. So there may be many aspects that these devotees who are experienced are seeing that we may not be able to see the past history. So many times it's not an instance, but the decision is based on history, based on dedication of a devotee, based on many factors. It's difficult to understand somebody else's standpoint, but what I've heard, like Srila Prabhupada says, one can remain free from anxiety if one doesn't take sides. This is one quality of a Vaishnava. When he sees something is happening, then he sees, okay, is it my service? Now, it seems like selfish, but at the same time, this is what is recommended. Is it something that I have to intervene? Am I the right person to um, kind of rectify the situation? If I am, then I have the responsibility to see who is at fault and who is not at fault. That's why management is very difficult, Prabhu. Because in management, we have to see, if there are two people, then we have to see who is at fault, who is not at fault, and then resolve. But then if you're not in management, then my spiritual master says, stay away and let the management deal. And whatever decision management takes, it is what Krishna wants. And what is it based on? I mean, based on experience. Maybe there is some karma that devotees involved. Then they have to, sometimes like our Guru Maharaj says, we see if we are being held accountable for something we haven't done, then he says, take it as part of your purification. In other words, probably if we are not authority, it's good to stay away. For
Well,
our
but if like the service itself is coming from this person, then should I say, okay, I'm not going to do? Even that is also, I don't know how he takes, because I am not his authority. I cannot do anything about it. So I need to stay away, at least from this perspective. But at the same time, services come from him. Now,
yeah,
what?
one time, I'm just trying to repeat the words of my Guru Maharaj because these are sensitive subject matter. One time, one devotee asked my Guru Maharaj that, Maharaj, my authority, he gives me some service. But my authority has problem with their authority. The authority above my authority, they don't accept his authority, but he is my authority. So should I go to the authority of my authority? Should I go to my authority? And I feel like my authority is wrong also sometimes. So what should I do? Then this question was asked by a devotee in Pune. That lecture is there on YouTube. So Maharaj asked Radhisham Prabhu. So Radhisham Prabhu, you are taking care of Pune temple. What do you think we should do? And then Radhisham Prabhu said, well, you follow your authority. And if the authority has problem with their authority, then let them deal among themselves. That's not our business. And Maharaj said, yeah, that will be my answer also. So, in other words, there are problems everywhere, Prabhuji. There are problems everywhere, and we are all trying to become pure devotees. And none of us are like pure souls who never make mistakes. Mistakes can happen from anyone, whether our authority of our authority. But if we are not the right person to rectify those mistakes, then we are okay. If somebody else is correcting them, it's between the authority and their authority that someone is helping this person, and gradually this person is also going to improve. And Krishna consciousness works. Krishna is making arrangement. Krishna will give purification to everyone, Prabhuji, no matter what level we are in. But then our dedication to our service will enhance our progress. Does it help, Prabhuji?
Yeah, okay, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu. Your questions are very complex. Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else has anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Shweta Mata. Yes.
Prabhuji, if somebody is going to make fun of the spiritual practices we have, so in that case, what to do, Prabhuji? Actually, they are not. Their criticism is not very important to me. I know that I'm far away from them also, but still sometimes the thought comes. Okay, in this case, how to stop the mind from finding fault in them? It's not prolonging for a while, but I'm able to control sometimes it goes deeper. Not sure how to help.
One thing that came to my mind, again, then the question also came, are the people who are criticizing your spiritual practices, are they devotees?
Not in the devotee circle, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Maybe
Then,
family. Yeah.
Then the right answer would be Krishna willing. We see that to instruct a faithless person about the glories of devotional service. If somebody doesn't have faith in the glories, then we don't propagate or we don't tell them our practice. Like even new people, when they say, how do we do? What do we do? We say, well, you can try chanting. We tell in a very simple way. So they don't take offense. And then anything we say, we check how the person is taking. Is the person receptive? If they're not receptive, then we withdraw. Then we change and we say, well, try reading Gita. Gita is spoken by Krishna. It's well-known book. It helps. It has all the answers. So we try to help them from their standpoint, and we don't speak anything they do not have adhikar for. Otherwise, it disturbs our own Krishna consciousness. Because the principle is, when we speak something to somebody beyond their adhikar, their mind becomes disturbed, and the cause of disturbance of their mind is us. They basically mentally blaspheme devotional service, which is not different from Krishna. So we became the instrument, so we get the offense for that. Did I answer, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. But whenever I try to ask them to visit for the temple or offering prasadam, sometimes they take sometimes they don't, and I don't know, but somehow because of the residential proximity, I had to meet them quite often. But now that they have moved to a different place, I don't think it should be a problem. But still,
Yeah. If somebody is not receptive to take prasad, if they say no, thank you, then you should do what they are comfortable with, and don't put yourself in position where you are hurt. Because if you put yourself in a situation where you get hurt, in the name of whether what is the right thing to do, then it is more detrimental to us because our consciousness is getting impacted. Rather, not give them prasad and deal carefully with them and do only that much that they're open to. And if they're not open, don't worry. Srila Prabhupada says, invest energy where people are more receptive. The example given is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He saw that people in Navadvip were not very receptive. So he did not put energy there. Rather, when he went to South India, people were receptive. Mahaprabhu gave lot more mercy he gave in South India than he gave in Navadvip. So we have to see who is receptive and give that much what they are receptive for and withdraw yourself. Does it help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Don't become attached to making somebody devotees, because it is not us, it's their own prarabdha. It devotional service continues from previous life. Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, such a soul who will take up to Krishna consciousness is very, very rare. Obviously, not everybody will take. And we are just seeing who is a ready soul, and we invest time and energy there.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm here. Like we try to approach once or twice, and we know how they respond to, and only if they are showing interest, we try to preach more, or like we try to associate. But uh, uh, like uh, they are like when they say that better be like Shweta, like chanting Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. When they said that, like I felt more hurt, and I'm unable to bear the pain. Like I'm not trying to preach them. I am not trying to like talk about the spiritual subjects. When the situation is not favorable, I am trying to avoid. But it happened only once. Now I am like outside the situation, but my mind is trying to bring it back again and again, and it's causing problems. Yes, sorry, Prabhuji. It's like I am not trying to like convince you or follow the path or something like that. I'm not trying to make them convinced. But when I have my own things to follow or something to hold on, why do they want to comment about that? That's the thing.
Two things are there, Mataji. Sometimes even devotees, they joke, and the joke is sometimes hurting to the devotees. That also becomes an offense. So if a devotee is hurt, it becomes an offense. So it is certainly not encouraging for their own devotional service to hurt a devotee. At the same time, if it happens, we don't want to feel a grudge for them, because whoever they are, our nature of a saintly person is, everybody should be happy. Sukhino Bhavanti, Sarva Sukhino Bhavanti, something like let all living entities be happy. And we don't want to be the cause of anyone's distress. If we feel bad for somebody else, if you're hurt because of somebody's action, they are going to suffer in one way or another. But then we don't want to see anybody suffer, even if they do wrong to us. So we try to tell our mind, no, let them be happy. Let them be peaceful. Let them make progress in their own way. I should not become an obstruction to their advancement of Krishna consciousness. Is it all right? Basically, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Trinadapi Sunichina Taroriva Sahishnana, Prabhupada translates Taror means tolerance, and Prabhupada says tolerance means forgiving. So we want to try in such situations, that's all right, and forgive. Try. We want to try, that's all. Is it all right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Definitely.
Mother Gopal, you had a question. Did you raise hand or somebody else?
No, bro. Yeah, it was for the last question.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Anything else here, or can we go ahead?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Prabhuji, just one doubt. Like, when we hear something from scriptures, and if like this is only the mental thing, I mean, just if we have any judgmental thought in our mind of some devotee related to what we heard in scripture or read in scripture. So will that also be the offense, or how to come out of that
Yeah,
mentality?
it's a mental offense, Mataji. So, I mean, offense can be mental, can be verbal, can be physical. All the offenses have a reaction. In Kali Yuga also, mental sins do not have reaction. Mental offense has a reaction. Srimad Bhagavatam specifically mentions about sinful activities in the mind do not have a reaction, like the thought of killing an animal, the thought of an illicit relationship, the thought of gambling, intoxication, any sinful activities. If there is a thought goes, sometimes mind become disturbed, no reaction. But offense, this person, I don't like this person, I want this person to be harmed. Yes, it will affect them, and that effect will come back to us. Now, how do we deal with this situation? We want to train ourselves. And step one in dealing with the situation is identifying that my mind is becoming disturbed. And then for me, fear helps. Fear means, I mean, it's not the best stage. Best stage is love. But love for all living entity is a platform. Uttamadhikari, we cannot mimic great souls. So fear helps. Fear means I cannot afford finding fault in anyone because I'm going to create problem for myself. No. And along with that, um, whatever it takes to neutralize the hard feeling we have for another devotee, we should do. One thing that really helps, what my spiritual master says, is if our mind, sometimes, many times actually, our mind is very, very disturbed. And no matter how we try to train the mind is really hurt. My Guru Maharaj says, pray to Krishna, Krishna, please help me remove this negative feeling for this devotee. See what happens. Because ultimately, if we depend on Krishna, Krishna is always listening to us, and you will see very surprisingly, your thoughts will change. It may not happen immediately, but very soon. And minimum suffering we give to others, minimum suffering will come to us, but it will come. Does that answer, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, that was like I was relating like just a thought. It's nothing like negative feeling or something. Just like trying to judge sometimes. Okay, this is written in scripture, and this incident is not according to the scripture. So nothing directly related to anyone, but just I mean nothing harsh feeling in that associated with that, but sometimes mind try to judge, and that's not correct, I know, but some thought comes, so want to still stay away from this. So same thing, right, what you've explained.
Okay, yeah, I heard you. So were you still answered?
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, trying to see like we should be not judgmental at all, even if it is
Right.
according to strict scriptures or something, which is not good for us to develop a habit like that. So just trying to see what can be the remedy. I think that's the answer you gave.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Kumari Radha Devi, you had a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dharma Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, for Sweta Mataji's one, like last line I did not hear, when we are instrumental for misunderstand devotional service or blaspheming devotional service. So maybe coming to that prasad, like whatever they are favorable, we can offer, and then remaining not. And then last line you said something, Prabhuji, like I missed it. So
I mean, it's difficult for me to say what was the last line, but if you give a context,
yeah, but
I can
maybe, yeah, yes, but maybe like, yeah, yes, Prabhuji, like, around that, can you please help us?
If you give me the concept, I can elaborate. I may not be able to remember like the last line.
Okay, Praveen. Say example that like if uh, uh, people that were accepting prasad is not favorable, or like I am the instrumental for offending devotional service, like because of my
Yeah.
actions. So I am the instrumental for their offenses. So one point you mentioned that like whatever they would like to take it, give that, and then remaining not. And then around that, Prabhuji, like can you please elaborate a little bit? Prabhuji? How to
Yeah, I
avoid that
mean,
situation?
we take a baby step towards somebody advancement, and we say how much they are receptive. They're not receptive to prasad, they're not receptive to philosophy. Then if relationship, no need to keep the relationship as such. But if there are, our childrens go together or something, then say hi, hello, and then let them be on their own. So we don't try to bridge, we don't instruct a faithless person. We don't try to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. And I said one more thing. One thing is principle. We should give Krishna to everyone. But there's another principle to not instruct faithless person. So we should not be driven by necessarily scripture, but we should be driven by the experience we have dealing with others. I mean, I don't know if you heard all these things. There's something else that I don't remember, then I don't know what that.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. If you have any question, come back. You can call me Matas later.
Yeah, sure. Prabhuji.
All right. So let's go forward.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. This is Anandini Priya. Prabhuji, can I ask a quick
Yeah,
question?
go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, sometimes it's difficult to understand, the other person, they do have, I mean, they are positive, but they do have faith or not, right, Prabhuji? Like they do some pious activities, but they don't want to go in depth, right? Like if we say okay, offering food or offering bhoga and then taking prasadam, it changes the consciousness of food, it changes whoever is eating. So like some people, they are pious, they do the deity worship, they do fastings, they do believe in Krishna, but they don't want to accept the core part, like the only Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, or we should eat only prasadam, those kind. So Prabhuji, should we try to make them understand, or we should I don't know, I mean, I'm confused, the faith is there or not.
Understood. Well, one thing that helps if you are not sure, but they are little pious people, I think Srila Prabhupada explained devotional service should not. He said, please don't share devotional service as a matter of rules and regulations. So one thing, if somebody is pious, is what the first thing they need is knowledge. And the activities are transformed with knowledge. So things like emphasizing Gita study, emphasizing devotee association, Sunday feast. If you have a Bhagavad Gita class, if you are taking, one of you are taking, or you want to bring them to a program, some way or other, connect them to knowledge. If they're receptive for a regular association, weekly association, gradually they will understand and have answer for each and every question. Usually, many things we do, they are not able to relate because there is a lot of difference in our activities and their activities. So the key for the advancement lies in continuous association and knowledge. That will bring the change in activities naturally. That's what I can say about it.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else has anything? All right, thank you. So we go ahead. Next is Tilak and Tulsi beads. This is very important for devotees to, this is one of the Anga of devotional service. It's very important to put tilak on our bodies. Many times devotees may become little complacent, thinking, oh, what is the benefit of doing that? So this is what Rupa Goswami says here is persons who are decorated with tilak or gopi chandan and on whose necks there are tulsi beads are never approached by Yamdutas. There is another instance of Srimad Bhagavatam where Putana attacked Krishna was 6 days old. Krishna was 6 days old. Putana attacked Krishna. She took Krishna away. She was running. She became big, 12 miles long demon. She fell down in the orchard of Kamsa. Then all the gopis, they were running behind Putna when they saw Kamsa is lying down. Putna is lying down dead. They were fearless. These gopis, elderly gopis, they climbed on the body of Putana. Krishna was playing there. He was just 6 days old. They grabbed Krishna, embraced him, then brought him back to Mother Yashoda and Rohini Devi, who were crying like a cow lost her calf. And when they held Krishna, they were very much concerned because usually a small child cannot speak, cannot express. So they wanted to give protection. And during this time, Nanda Baba and the elderly gentlemen, the leaders of the family, were not there. Nanda Baba and others, they were coming back from Mathura. They went to pay taxes, where Vasudev told Nanda Baba and others that there is problem in Braja, return immediately. So they were on their way back, and it was late in the night. It is said Nanda Baba started the journey the night itself, and they came back early morning. So everything happened in the night. From evening time, it was late night. So it is said that these gopis were trained to offer protection to the child. So how they offered protection to the child is they took the cow dung, they put tilak on the body of Krishna. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayanaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami says, the protection is offered through the names. So tilak is how they would protect the child. They had various levels of protection given to baby Krishna 6 days old. One is the dust that arise from walking of the cows. They bathe in that. They made baby Krishna bathe in that dust. So they put the cows on action, cow walk. It is said just that dust that arises from walking of a cow is very purifying. Then they bathe Krishna with cow urine, and they did the achaman, and then they applied tilak on the body of Krishna. So this comes, and also in the spiritual world, everybody wears tilak. Radha Govind Maharaj gives many examples of how the protection was offered to those who wear tilak regularly. I'm not going in those stories at this point of time, but yes, devotees, as a matter of Vaishnava etiquette, as a matter of training, as a matter of being in the mode of goodness, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says tilak is a decoration of the body. And if we decorate the body with tilak, then we lose the desire to decorate with other ornaments. So the ornamentation for a Vaishnava is tilak. Yeah, so these are some thoughts on it. So devotees can put this picture in their bathrooms. Many times I've seen that works. And then if you see the various marks, this is, you can check Vaishnav Tilak on Google. You will find this picture, paste it, laminated copy. And if you do it, both men and women should do it. It's not that only men should do it. If you do it for 10-15 days, you will get into a habit. It's very, very nice to get into a habit of putting a tilak regularly. If devotees are working and they are hesitant to put a tilak at office, then it is recommended. There are 13 places that one should apply tilak on. It is recommended a devotee should apply tilak on 12 places, and the 13th place, which is on the forehead, Om Keshavaya Namaha, one can put the tilak with water if one is hesitant. But other places, anyways, nobody sees, so one should apply tilak. And our experience is it usually takes a minute maximum to apply a tilak. Maybe in the beginning, 2 minutes maximum. The Gopi Chandan also has, it specifically mentions decorated with tilak or Gopi Chandan. So Gopi Chandan also has a lot of mercy because Gopi Chandan is not a sandalwood. It's a mud that comes from a lake near Dwarka. And it is in that lake where Srimati Radharani and the gopis, they through that lake, they entered into the lake and they ended their earthly pastimes and joined Lord Krishna back in Goloka in the spiritual world. So this Gopi Chandan comes from that lake. So this also has the dust of the dust from the feet of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. That's why this Chandan is called Gopi Chandan. It's not just Chandan. It's not the sandalwood paste. So this is something on tilak and tulsi beads. Tulsi bead, very, very important to wear it. But one should make sure that if one wears a tulsi bead, one should not eat onion, garlic, mushroom, or because she is very pure. We want to surround ourselves with tulsi, but we need to make our external habits clean to wear neck beads. If one is not very pure at this point of time with respect to one's eating habit, it's good to wait on wearing tulsi, but one should still put tilak. Okay, I guess that's all. I think it's straightforward. Many do follow, but I had to cover it anyways. This from Skanda Purana. Then there is accepting the flower garlands. There is a verse which says, any person who simply follows these rules and regulations of decorating the body with the marks of tilak made from Gopi Chandan or sandalwood pulp, and who puts on the garland that were offered to Krishna, there is no question of being conquered by the spell of material energy. So this particular verse says, if we put tilak, tulsi, and if we wear garlands or accepting garlands or embracing garlands or smelling garlands that are offered to their lordship. We have such beautiful lordship, Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha, but I'm little away from them nowadays. So if we accept, then the Maya will not capture us, it says. This is from Uddhav Gita. My dear Narada, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna becomes relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities. And gradually he is liberated from the contamination of matter. Basically, Maya will not attack. One will become free from the influence of matter, which is influence of Maya Devi. One will be relieved from diseases and reactions to sinful activities just by putting the garland offered to the Lord around the neck. Okay. I see many times, I see devotees, I see Valkisha Prabhuji also. Sometimes he will just take the garland of Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha and wear it, and then he will chant after wearing the garland on himself. Devotees don't garland themselves to, garland themselves or to glorify themselves, but they garland themselves because they are spiritual by nature. Anything that is offered to the Lord becomes spiritual by nature. So, and by their spiritual energy, one gets spiritual potency and freedom from material energy. All of this is from Skanda Purana and Uddhav Gita. Then there is dancing before the deity. One should be willing to dance. A person who is in a jubilant spirit, who feels profound devotional ecstasy while dancing before me, Krishna speaking, and who manifests different features of bodily expression can burn away all the accumulated sinful reactions he has stocked up for many, many thousands of years. So Krishna says, one who becomes ecstatic, one who feels divinity, and he comes in front of my deity form and dances, he becomes free from all the sinful reactions accumulated for many, many thousands of years. From the body of any person who claps and dances before the deity, showing manifestations of ecstasy, all the birds of sinful activities fly away upward. So it is said that this is about clapping. When we clap, all the birds in a tree, they fly away. Likewise, when we clap before the Lord, then all the birds of sinful activities fly away. In other words, glorifying Lord by any means, by dancing, by clapping, one becomes free of one's sinful reactions. It is also seen how, like Yeshla Prabhupada is dancing, and we see all the ISKCON sannyasis in front of the Lordship, they dance. And who is the biggest dancer? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the biggest dancer. He would continuously dance. Then who is another biggest dancer? Sri Krishna himself is the biggest dancer. Now we heard his so many dancing pastimes. So Sri Krishna, Srimati Radharani are always dancing. The most important pastime they do is in dancing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the associates, it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Advaita Acharya, Shivas Thakur, Haridas Thakur, Vakreshwar Pandit. They were all lead dancers. Every group of Sankirtan has a lead dancer. And we saw that Srila Prabhupada, when he came, he personally taught the sannyasi step. So this dancing, I mean, this is a form of devotional service, and that itself is very purifying. This is from Dwarka Mahatmya. Okay, it's time. Let's do this slide as the last slide for today. Bowing down in honor of the deity, the person who has executed many great, this is very, very important, is to bow down before the deities. Many times we may miss this simple thing of bowing down before the deities, or we may bow down before the deities mechanically. I mean, that also helps, but if you bow down with the heart, that is best. And we see such a beautiful picture, Srila Prabhupada, with all his humbleness, he is offering obeisances to the deities. The person who has executed many great sacrifices will attain the result of his pious activities. But when such results are finished, he has to take birth again on the earthly planet. However, the person who has once offered respects, bowing down before the deity, will not come back to this world, because he will go directly to the abode of Krishna. This is from Naradiya Puran. Then a person who sees the Lord's Rath Yatra car festival and then stands up to receive the Lord can purge all kinds of sinful activities from his body, from Brahmanda Puran. Those who are doing Bhakti Shastri, it is very important to have a reason for everything we do. That's a part of Bhakti Shastri described by Rupa Goswami. We are doing most of the things that we are trained up like that, but we should know why we are doing also, why we are Tulasi. Or the question can be, why bow down to the deities? What happens when you bow down to the deities? So all these questions devotees should have answer for. And when devotees read Nectar of Devotion, they will see various quotes. You don't need to quote as it is, but we need to have some idea of what scripture says, what benefits one get from what, for the sake of Bhakti Shastri also. And this helps us in preaching, because people will ask questions and we should be able to answer them. So it is said that this is the last slide. If somebody performs pious activities, then they may get a higher birth. When the good karma is removed, they come back again. But if somebody bows down, then they goes to the abode of Krishna. Like, quite striking. Then we see Lord Krishna himself says, he says, Man mana bharma bhakto, Man mana bharma bhakto, mam yaji mam namaskuru. He says, namaskuru means offering obeisances. Krishna emphasized, offer obeisances to me. Then if you see the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter, last verse. the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. There it says two things glorifies. One is Nam Sankirtan, another is offering obeisances. And their last verse of Bhagavatam says, you can read, if you offer obeisances to the Lord, you will become free from all sinful reactions. So Srimad Bhagavatam says, just do these two things: offer obeisances with humility, and do Nam Sankirtan. We see from the life of our Goswamis, it is described how Raghunath Das Goswami would offer 1,000 obeisances every day to the Vaishnavas and 2,000 obeisances every day to the Lord. How he does it, it is inconceivable. And at a very old age, he would do 2,000 obeisances. And we see many devotees in Vrindavan, they do Dandavat Parikramas, where they offer repeated obeisances. So it's a very important aspect of sadhana bhakti, is that devotee pay obeisances to the lordships. Okay, so that's all we have. Are there any discussion? I don't think many questions will come on these things, but these are just different glimpses of devotional service. Are we good at this point of time?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you very much. So Prabhuji called it a day, so we'll call it a day also.
Like that.
Manchakalpatarubhishya kripa sindhuvaeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti
ठीक है.
Vaishnavendra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Humble servant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. Take Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.